You probably ate 3 meals today. Maybe you skipped breakfast. Maybe you grabbed something between meetings. Maybe you felt guilty about it afterward. But here is the strange part. That guilt, that routine, that idea of breakfast and lunch and dinner, none of it existed for most of human history. The way you eat today would have looked completely alien to your ancestors, and what they ate would have looked almost impossible to you. So what did ancient humans actually eat in a day? The answer is not what you have been told. It is stranger, harder, and far more interesting. Start with the biggest assumption most people carry, that ancient humans woke up and ate. They did not. Not reliably. Not on a schedule. Your ancestors did not have a kitchen. They did not have a refrigerator or a pantry stocked with options. What they had was a landscape, and that landscape did not hand out meals. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham at Harvard has spent decades studying the relationship between human evolution and food. His research suggests that for most of our evolutionary history, early humans went long stretches, sometimes an entire day or more, without eating anything at all. Not by choice, by circumstance. The food simply was not there. So the first thing your ancestor did in the morning was not eat. It was search. Depending on where they lived, the African savanna, a coastal shoreline, a forested riverbank, the search looked different, but the goal was the same. Find something calorie-dense enough to be worth the energy it cost to get it. And here is where it gets surprising. The majority of what ancient humans actually ate was not meat. That image of a prehistoric man dragging a mammoth back to a fire, it is dramatic, but it is mostly fiction. Big game hunting was rare, dangerous, and energetically expensive. A hunt could fail. An animal could injure you. You could spend an entire day chasing something, and come back with nothing. What ancient humans actually ate, day in and day out, was plant material. Roots, tubers, berries, leaves, seeds, fruits when they were in season, grubs and insects when everything else was scarce. Archaeological evidence from sites across Africa and the Middle East consistently shows that plant foods made up the bulk of the ancestral diet, not a side dish, but the foundation. Researcher Amanda Henry at the Max Planck Institute studied ancient dental calculus, the hardened plaque preserved on fossil teeth, and found direct evidence of starchy plant consumption going back at least 100,000 years. Your ancestors were eating wild grasses, underground storage organs, and wetland plants long before anyone planted a single seed. But here is the twist. They were not eating these foods the way you would imagine. There was no preparation in the modern sense. No recipe. No seasoning beyond what the food itself contained. You pulled a root from the ground and you ate it. Rare, gritty, bitter in ways that modern produce has been selectively bred to eliminate over centuries of agriculture. Your tongue, right now, is calibrated for a world that no longer exists. The sweetness you crave is your ancestral brain screaming that ripe fruit means calories. The fat you crave is your body remembering that fatty marrow from cracked bones was one of the most reliable energy sources available. The salt you reach for is the memory of a mineral that was genuinely hard to find in the ancient landscape. Every craving you have is a message from the past. Meat did enter the picture, but differently than most people think. Early humans were scavengers before they were hunters. They followed predators. They waited. Then they moved in after the kill, cracking open bones that lions and hyenas had already picked clean, extracting the fatty marrow that larger animals could not reach. This was not weakness. It was intelligence. It was reading the landscape and finding value where other creatures saw none. Over time, as tools improved and social coordination grew more sophisticated, hunting became more viable. A single successful hunt could mean an enormous caloric windfall, more food than a small group could eat before it spoiled. And so they ate, continuously, until it was gone. There was no saving it for tomorrow. There was no tomorrow's meal to plan for. This is the eating pattern your body was built around. Not 3 meals a day. Not snacking every 2 hours to keep your metabolism running. Long periods of low intake followed by sudden, significant abundance. Feast and fast, not as a diet trend, but as the fundamental rhythm of survival. Your body still remembers this rhythm. It is why you can go hours without food and still function. It is why, when you sit down to a holiday meal, something deep in you says keep going, keep eating. This abundance will not last. It is not a lack of willpower. It is an ancient instruction, still running, in a world where the feast never ends. By the time the sun set on a typical ancestral day, your ancient relative had likely consumed somewhere between 1,500 and 2,500 calories, but not in any predictable order, not at any set time, and not from any source that resembled what is in your kitchen right now. They had walked, on average, between 6 and 16 kilometers. They had used their hands, their memory, their social bonds, and their knowledge of the landscape to extract enough energy to survive another day. And then they slept. No late-night snack, no refrigerator light, no delivery app, just the dark, and whatever they had managed to find, already digested, already becoming them. Tonight, when you open the refrigerator for the third time without being hungry, you are not being weak. You are being human. You are running ancient software in a world your ancestors could never have imagined. A world where the search is over. But the searching brain never got the message.